So here you are, aren't you? Are you somewhere else? If you are, we have these very fancy minds that want to do everything everywhere, but not here. So, and this is all about the discipline of just being here, you know, or you could say the simplicity of just being here. So I'd like you to start by just bringing your attention to your body and maybe your butt on the chair or bench or cushion, and just taking a moment to kind of settle into body. It is to me, it's the greatest asset that I can, if I get riled or I get confused or if I get anxious, I go to the body. And it's a truly a blessing to touch into it and ground the attention there. So there's the body. There is the heart, um, which is that holds all things in a kind and generous fashion. And there is a mind, fickle mind as it may be. A lot of the training here is based on the ability to bring the mind into connection with the heart and the body, kind of a wholeness. So as you take a moment to kind of check in with this, if you notice there's some story you're running about groceries tomorrow or groceries yesterday or, something, let it go. This is actually a complete truth. You have nobody to be, nowhere to go, nothing to do. Simple. And as you feel into, we can say presence, then there is a truth or possibility of deep ease or deep relaxation. And whether it's the breath or the rising and falling of the chest or the belly rising and falling, or simply resting in the nature of the knowing itself, the awareness. From that point of view, there is no right or wrong. When there's anxiety, when there is mental proliferation, then that is extra. And what we're trying to do here is just bring everything into harmony, into the body, the heart, and the mind. There is no winning and losing here. There is, And if you find yourself wandering off, you can just simply go to the body, whether it's just the butt on the chair, bench, cushion, to ground the attention. It's really a way to ground. At the same time, there is this incredible expansive heart which really holds all things, but is not of them. So the heart holds things. And your mind, you're simply training it to stay here. It's enough to stay here. And when those things line up, then there is a sense of ease or relaxation or ultimate connection with just beingness. one can touch into the breath and notice there is a knowing that's holding all things, bigger in all directions. No need to speculate, no need to imagine, but simply to rest in the nature of this awareness, whether it's body or heart or mind. Staying here. So if you find yourself wandering off, just turn the attention to this space that's holding all things, but ultimately is not of them. if you find yourself wandering off, there's an easy way just to come back and sit. And it's simply this, you could say, mantra or inspiration of just here. I'm just here. No place else. I'm just here. thought is big enough for who you are. Let it slide off, slide away. And the rest in the center of who you are. It's really nice to be here. Spring. We're going to take just a short break here. And, I don't know if you need to climb the walls, you climb the walls. But if you can just, you know, find the bathroom, take a few minutes, and then we'll ring a bell and you'll come back in and we'll continue to continue. So we have a householder retreat, which is kind of a big deal, because it's really more like I love, I've spent probably thousands of days in retreat, and but they have been, a much more controlled environment. Householder retreat means that you're on your own. And you may come here in the evenings and there's a talk and there's a little sitting and but it's really about you being able to stay present in your world. A lot of this is based on remembering. Mindfulness to me is basically it's something about remembering all the time, which I don't do, but I try, you know. Um, and here you have these next 5 or 6 days, depending whether you're doing day long or just that, is actually setting it up so that you have some reminders to keep present during the day. And it's nice that Adam is doing the morning sit. Uh, and I encourage you to do that. And and then see whatever the activity is, whether you're working or hanging out or going on a walk or whatever, that you can actually keep the continuity, because that's a secret of this practice. It's really the continuity of the awareness. And it's why I love retreat, because I was so scattered that what I needed was days and days to kind of settle my system in and begin to recognize the capacity for the happiness of being present. And that's really all it is. It's the happiness of being present. And thoughts are very expensive things. Have you noticed? You know, and then because of the thoughts, then we have these reactions we call emotions that actually kind of go along with those and or mimic them sometimes. And the idea here is somehow that we can have a clear mind, an open heart, and a mind that knows how to ground itself. You know, it used to be that I had a little practice where I'd get kind of discombobulated, I guess is a good word, and so I'd stomp my feet, and it was a way to bring my attention back into my body, and sort of say, "Oh, I'm here," you know. And by the way, when I said that during the sitting, I mean that. It's one of the most, to me, one of the most phenomenal mantras on the planet here. And that you can just kind of self-reference when you use that simple term. Oh, here, I'm here. Oh, okay. You know, and in that, because that's the mind, and then the body kind of registers that. And then what sometimes we note as fear or anxiety or anxiousness, it goes to the heart, because the heart ultimately is what we're talking about here. It's really what it's about, you know. Uh, but uh, you could go directly to the heart, but it seems like to train the mind to note the body, to relax the system, then gives ability for the heart to actually, because what is the heart? The heart is that is the truth of all things, you know. So it holds all this. And to me, if you can hold all this, you're in good shape, you know. But the moment you start, you know, getting anxious or afraid or, you know, wanting mind, I want this, I want that, forget it. You're lost, you know. And as soon as you're lost, then that's where stomping your feet or sometimes just saying here or, um, you know, remembering to notice, you know, it's a simple thing. Notice your butt on a chair, or cushion, or bench, or, you know, or it may just be your feet. And then suddenly there's a possibility of easing or relaxing. And this is, how do we do this? Oh, this is not complicated. It's not easy. You know, you can do it for a moment and then you forget. And off you go again, you know, telling stories about everything and everybody. And we're good at that, you know. And but the practice is no, just here. You know, keeping it so simple, it's enough. And there is this brilliant truth of your system that once it knows that, then it's like saying, oh, if I can notice my body and still my mind and open my heart, then I take in the world as it is in the moment. You know, the world in the moment. And so suddenly there's this possibility of, oh, I'm so grateful. You know, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to see you all. I'm grateful to uh, have a body that's still working. You know, that's uh, that's a big deal these days. It's one thing. Turning almost 80, it's like, oh my God. But I know when I'm here and I'm present with things, then you know, it's not that I don't think. It's just that it's not the most important thing. Because actually, the most important thing is that you are present in your body and your heart is open to what's here. And suddenly there's a sense of the words are ease and peace. You know, these are really fabulous words. You know, to have peace and ease is a remarkable state of being. You know, and you know, the thing is, because it's not separate, it cares for everything and everybody. You know, so and this is huge. You know, because so much of our life is, you know, with family systems and oh my God, I was thinking, oh my God, it gets, you know, and but it's only one thing, you know. It's like, oh, I hold all things, and it's so beautiful. Springtime. We're just driving here. Carol brought me tonight because one eye don't see so well, and there was a dogwood tree, and it was like, oh my gosh, it was so impressive, you know. It was like, oh, this is why I'm here, you know. And when I got here from Thailand, I've been here a month and 2 days or whatever, and there was no leaves on the trees, and I've been able to watch this whole uh, evolutionary reality that suddenly, oh, the trees aren't holding, you know, they're holding all things. They're actually sometimes more impressive than people, which is true, fortunately, you know. Why? Because they are really steadiness of a phenomenal state. you know, and they are changing, just like everything is that. And tonight I'm going to talk a little bit more about change. But trees are changing all the time, you know. And you could even say, and this may be a little funny, but rocks are always changing, you know. And yet they seem so solid on some level, but they're not. They're just a certain density of molecular structure that is called a stone. And nothing big, you know, but it is also subject to change. Now, what I'd like to do this week, there are kind of 5 things between Adam and I. We'll figure this all out, but I don't want to figure it out now. And it is, you know, that this is kind of the bedrock of Buddhism. And I want to say I was a Hindu monk. I was, you know, I first started in the 60s, and 66, I think. I was with the Sufis. It was sort of this evolutionary process. And I thought, Buddhism is so damn dry. You know, I don't want that, you know? So it was an evolutionary process of saying, oh, but that's, you know, what is Buddhism? Oh, it's sanity. You know, it's really sane. And so, and it took a while. You know, I had to go through a few steps, maybe 3 years of seeking, you know. And then I came to the fact that, oh, and, you know, I started sitting right away. In the 66, I started sitting and the place called the Now House. It was a Christian Sufi hippie uh, thing. You know how that goes, you know. And and this was Santa Cruz Mountains, and it was perfect. You know, it was like, oh, I'm going to go this direction, but I don't know exactly what I need with this direction. So there was, you know, some years there of, you know, of seeking. Sometimes I think it was seeking the impossible because I already found it, but I didn't know it, you know. So there was this, oh, maybe on the other street or in the other ashram or wat or temple or something somewhere. But it took a while to realize that, you know, it was all here. And I was the only thing that was preventing the truth of this generational practice to be here, you know, and you're talking about something that's been here for, you know, in Buddhism, 2,600 years, with Hinduism pretty, you know, maybe 4,000, and ancient, you know, and you have Christianity, which is about 2,000, and I don't know, I think Muslim about the same, and they're all pointing at the same thing, you know, and they're pointing at that this place is a phenomenal experience of human consciousness, phenomenal place of human consciousness. And so the thing is that you need to, you all start out as seekers, you know. Oh, I got to find it. So you seek, you know, and I think it's imperative that the seeker has to satisfy its seeking. And at some point, it has to recognize it is the seeking itself. You know, the seeking is what took it to where it had to get to. But once it got there, did it need that anymore? Did it really need the seeker? You know, not really, you know. It was the impetus or the inspiration to find what is already available, what has always been there, you know. And so then there's a turning then you, instead of looking outward or towards something, it has to turn around and start seeing itself. You know, you have it all. You've been all of it all the time. You know, um, but you couldn't believe that it was that simple, and it was this close. You know, but then of course we grow up and we begin to see that, oh, it's not complicated, and that simple truth. Um, you know how to stomp your feet so you stay in your body. You know how to tame your mind, saying, "Oh, the simple mantras here." I like that. I like, of course, it's someone I like so much. Just here, you know, and then what is it that quells the heart? You know, when there's peace and ease, then there's no obstruction. If there's no obstruction, then it's the heart that holds all things. So it is sort of like saying, oh, this is the universal truth, is that it holds all things. And you can then kind of, oh, relax and see that things unfold in natural ways. Not always pretty, but it is a natural way. And what we're going to do this week is going to be basically based on really the tenets of Buddhist thought, because I think that's, to me, it's really important. And tonight I'll talk a little bit about impermanence. I don't know who will talk a little bit about unsatisfactoriness or suffering. And then there is uh, getting out of your own way, which is sometimes referred to as no self, you know, um, which is cool. And then there is this truth about Nibbana. Nibbana is not something that, you know, uh, I mean, it's not something, you know, the Thais are very, like you talk about Nibbana and oh, yeah, they all, you know, kind of say, oh, that's, you know, that's next life, not this time, you know. But the truth is, there is, we can call it relative nirvana if you want to, but it's also a word for peace and ease. And it is whenever the war within yourself stops. And when that war stops and you get that you're here, then there is, you know, there's no obstruction. This is not a mistake. This is an unfolding that's going on. Sometimes not easy. I'll admit that. And but it is an unfolding, and you begin to kind of unfold little by little. And Nibbana is, to me, one of the greatest inspirations of all this, because it is pointing at something that is not, it's not some relative. Nibbana is true, it's in the world, but ultimately it's not in the world. You know, it's something beyond the world. And then the kind of last night of this is just, you know, I can just call it awareness in everyday reality, you know. So the school of nothing special, you know, great place, you know. And Friday, and then I'll do a day long on God knows what, you know. He maybe knows, but I don't, you know. But I don't get that far, you know. But right now, this kind of these are the basic tenets of Buddhism. You know, that there is impermanence, there is uh, unsatisfactoriness or suffering, there is um, the question of who are you, you know, or questions around this thing called self, this concretizing of identity. And then there is Nibbana, freedom from, freedom of. And then there's how am I living this? And to me, that is this kind of fifth one, which is um, awareness in everyday life and activity, and that's kind of where you get to in all this. And then you're done. Little trick here, though, you know, Nibbana, there are stages to it, and there's relative and there's absolute. And we're really playing with relative. It's okay. You can, maybe for accidentally for a moment, and it's not accident, is you can kind of experience some really transpersonal, transcendent state that can be equated to what Nibbana is. But only a Buddha is complete with that. The rest of us can kind of experience it for a moment. And that's all. But that's great, by the way, because the moment you experience it, then it has the power to, besides blowing your mind. Oh, I think we know that one. But anyway, that it begins this untangling process. It's sort of like saying, oh, now that I've seen this, then all those things I've made up about myself and about the world begin to be questioned and begin to actually unravel. And when they completely unravel, then you are in a state called awake. And why not? It's always been there. You know, it's just that you keep making up stuff about everything else. You know, and every time you make up stuff about something else, you're caught again, kind of in the clutches of, they say, and I'll use the word samsara, in the kind of this dualistic entrapment. And by the way, we all start there. And I just hope you all get over yourselves and move on to a bigger world. Everything else is small world. And yes, we need that in a sense of there's a lot of details that in your daily life, you got to do the dishes and you do this and do that. And, there's a lot of the Zen stuff around of being able to not get lost in the, we'll call them worldly activities, not to get lost. Now, one of the things about being a Theravada monk for a while, sort of Burmese style, you can't, you really aren't even supposed to wash your dishes, So it's very kind of in that way transpersonal and transcendent, but it doesn't take into account all the complexity of the lay life that we live. Got to do the dishes. I have a dishwasher, so it makes it kind of easier. But I know, you know. So those are the essentials, and the Daylong will be more based on that last tenet, which is really about this possibility of freeing oneself through simple activity. So it means you have to keep reminding yourself not to forget. And as you establish not forgetting, then what's beautiful is then a whole day goes, and you went, wow, where'd that go? And you went, oh, you know what? I was more on today. Next day you get caught, and then you're telling stories, and you're, trying to figure out the world. And, these phones are insane, you know? They really are. They are insane. And yet, functionally, they're fabulous. But, I like to more often than not, you know? And yet, I, like you, am stuck with they're handy, you know? And also keep me, I was thinking, was last night my friend Jim and my son and my grandson, we were all on this WhatsApp, and it was really, it's like, oh, I don't get to see them for a while, so I can still connect with them. That's the advantage. The only thing is that, you know, uh, you could do it remembering and really being with it and there or not. And most people, as soon as they, I'm fairly disassociative. So, I start talking, and next thing I know, I'm no longer connecting. But I've learned how to connect, you know. And what is that? Oh, that's my body. That's to um, recognize my thinking or thoughts, and relying more on my heart than the other two, you know. And if you can do that, you're going to be fine, you know. But it doesn't mean that life isn't going to throw you a few curveballs, you know, or I should say, quite a few curveballs, you know. But it's just that's how it works. So, kind of clear on this is it's impermanent, and the thing that always amazes me is that these things are sort of set in order, and we don't have to do them in order, but the recognition, if you had a thought as you were listening, you just went over there. Now you're over here, and then you go over there. You are dancing in this changing mind all the time, you know. And so you have to actually start remembering that there's no answers there. There is just dancing, you know. So you dance on one thought, you dance on another thought, and pretty soon you're lost in thought, you know. But if you can remember, and that's really, can I stay here? Can I, feel my body? Can I note my thinking or thoughts? Can I recognize the energies behind it, which we call emotions, you know? So sometimes there's, oh, I'm so excited. It's so great. Another moment, it's like, oh my God, is this going to go on and on? And so they're all reactions to some, confluence of a thought, a sensation, um, feeling, and then some entrapment that can happen with that. And my suggestion is let go of it. It's not gonna satisfy you, you know. And if you can do that, you're going to be in pretty good shape, you know. I've been doing this for about 60 years or so, more than that, once, long time, you know, says something about age and old. And it doesn't take, some people can do everything I learned in 3 years. Uh, but it took me 60 years. It's okay. There's no real, time is, it's a relative reality. And it's a great way to kind of know what you're doing, but it's also a trick, you know. And time is a relative reality that, you know, we are all, by the way, as I get older here, I just had another birthday a couple days ago. Uh, Getting old, you know, but you all, if you're lucky, if you're lucky, you will get to me and pass me. That's my wish for you, you know. I have to tell you, I got three great things I was going to talk to you about. Well, I knew what I was going to talk to you about, but I was going to read. And I have a room that I teach out of. I couldn't find it. You know, it actually disappeared. And I'm still kind of curious of did it just, did magic happen in it? I don't think so. I think it's somewhere I just don't remember what we did. No. But I love this. This is Rumi, the guest house. This being human, is a guest house. Every morning, new arrivals, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing. Invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from the beyond. A little roomy to keep you interested. But I'm actually interested in you, you know. You can choose to be free. You can choose to get on the train of association, which we do, and follow it out to some, oh, you can really get caught up in believing you believe or believing you know. In reality, you don't know anything. You know that? Because it is always, the flux is happening so quickly. You know, uh, it's part of my early years in this practice was just getting that nothing that I knew was stable. It was all some flux, some change, some marvelous change, and that there's some of the chants in Buddhism that you know that one of the greatest happinesses is recognizing that everything changes. So it's not a sad thing. It's actually a wondrous thing. And if it all stayed the same, boy, what a miserable place this would be. You know, you get caught in something and they couldn't get out of it. But because it changes, you're not obligated to get caught by it. You're actually more obligated to learn how to let go of it. And probably one of the greatest, truths or practices here is the capacity to let go. And unfortunately, there's so many things that, especially pleasant things and people and things, we want to hold on to. But truth be told, all things here die, slowly or quickly. And that is a great teaching and not an easy one. You will not find this one easy. All things die. You too will die. And you will die, you can die screaming, crying, trying to hold on to something that, especially this body, forget it. This thing is ridiculous. I mean, I've been through cancer a couple times and had a very interesting surgeries and all that stuff. And I'm happy to say I'm still here. It's like, oh, those are great teachers. I wouldn't wish them on any of you, but at the same time, I'm so grateful for this practice. It's done more than save my life, because I was able to tolerate some intolerables, and I'm still here, still going. Here I am. So grateful. So impermanence. So tonight is really on impermanence, and then we'll do, I don't know how we'll do this, but maybe toss a coin or something, or do it in whatever order we want. You have any questions about, and I really want to keep it on impermanence or the nature of this week, and somehow, let's see, Jen's got the
Microphone.
the microphone in. So we'll do it in the room, and also, I don't know, I'm assuming there's a bunch of people from outer space that are here. So
Yeah. John, this is Robin in the back. For those of
yes.
you on Zoom, if you have a question, you can go to your reactions and raise your Zoom hand, or you can turn on your video and wave, and we'll try and see you, but it can be difficult.
For the friends in the hall, we have a microphone, and we do ask that you raise your hand, and I'll pass you the mic, and then that way the people on Zoom can hear the question from the hall also.
You all have a deep understanding of impermanence. If you don't, you're going to learn.
Got a question in the hall?
Okay.
I'm Tim. Hi, John.
How are you?
Great. I'm just repeating what you said so it lands a little deeper in me. But that impermanence was a great teacher. And earlier you talked about the beauty of the trees unfolding and its creation, and it will soon be gone. Those flowers will, they'll be gone. And so the two of those came together in my mind, that there's the teacher. So I'm just in love with the dogwoods right now, and all the flowers and the birth and the little buds that are pushing their way up through the dirt. And I just am looking at creation and loving it, and knowing again there'll just be those brown leaves coming down. And so that just really hit home when you said creation is a great teacher. And
It
and
is.
I think
And,
we're going to use that. Thank you.
yeah, well, you're so welcome. This is a cyclic existence, and we can watch it, you know. And I'm going to go back to the trees because the trees are so phenomenal, you know. Here are these things that root in the earth, and they have their system that they go through. And things like the dogwoods, I mean, oh my God, they're so beautiful, you know. And yet those leaves the buds fall off, and then the leaves fall off, and then it comes to another cycle. And I was thinking remember when I was a kid, I guess I was in Israel or somewhere, and they were talking about the old trees that were there uh, from the time of Christ, you know, and still there, you know, and over 2,000 years old, you know, incredible, you know. And I want to give a plug for yesterday. You know, Pope Francis passed away, and he was his 12 years, such a visionary, you know, and particularly for the poor and those who, uh, you know, were kind of thrown off from our society on some level. So a great bodhisattva, you know, and I'm happy to report that I'm sure he's going a good place. He did good work, you know, and we all have the chance to do good work. You know, that's the thing. Even if it's just, you know, sometimes I think, oh, it's just in Thailand where I live, you know, it's just, I don't speak Thai. So I'm there and nobody, there's a few English speaking, but not much. But, you know, everybody's just acknowledging oh, it's a good day today, you know? And there's very little uh, animosity that's there. It's all a very heartfelt and open, and I am thrilled to be there that way. And I'm also thrilled to be here because of you here, you know. It's a great privilege. So thank you. I'm just babbling on.
John, maybe a small plug too for trees. There's anyone who is a reader. There's a great scientific book out now called The Light Eaters. And it's about the proven theory that trees have consciousness.
Mm. Well, from my point of view, it's just a view, all things have consciousness. And because of that, we get this phenomenal variety of changing realities. You know, it's such a privilege. I was thinking, oh, I don't want to die. I know I have to, but not today. So somebody on the
Another question from the hall.
Hey, John.
Hi, Douglas.
Yeah, this is Douglas. It seems as I contemplate impermanence that I find like grief in my pocket right there, along with impermanence. And I'm not necessarily looking at grief as a negative part of the whole deal, but as an inclusive thing to kind of like open myself up to that part of impermanence, you know, and maybe you have a word or two for that.
Well, first, you know, I was thinking about Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. I mean, it's a natural phenomena that we experience grief. And grief is the precursor to compassion and love. So unfortunately, we're kind of part of our cyclic creativity is based on that. That grief allows a certain, you know, certain richness that is available to us. And that richness, unfortunately, doesn't always feel good, but it also goes towards this, I can use it, the heart of opening, you know. And unfortunately, that's just the way it works, you know.
Yeah, it brings to mind like composting my old dead vegetables.
There you
know,
go.
There's a renewal along with that, being able to not deny that process, but to include it, you know.
Thank you. Yes, it is a natural composting. Composting of our old ideas, our bodies, our histories, our connections. There's a lot to it, you know. But you're going to grieve because loss is natural. It is part of how we note the enormity of where we are, you know. Thank you, Douglas.
Hi, John. We have one. Roseanne is having a question on Zoom.
Go for it.
Hi, John. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but
Okay.
wait, maybe I can see you too.
Well, I don't know. It's okay. First, I want to just thank you for
Oh,
what you said about Pope Francis. You know, I was just thinking today that he lived the life of a bodhisattva. So it was really nice to hear you say that. You know, you asked, you know, about impermanence, and I think something that has really helped me in this past year to just really bring it in and help it settle is a couple of times a day. I try to do it in the morning and in the evening, is I recite the 5 remembrances. And, you know, the third one being, you know, that I am of the nature to die. I mean, I just,
yes.
usually I'm doing it with my eyes closed, but I'll just open my eyes and look around and I'll say, you're going to die. And it's just kind of bringing it alive, death alive. And you know, and the fourth one that, you know, everyone and everything I hold dear, I will become separated from. You know, it really,
Okay.
it helps me to realize what is important in my life and how to live just for today with that truth, you know? So I just really love the 5 remembrances, and I find it a very deep practice. Thank you.
It is good to see you, Roseanne.
It's
I
good
haven't
to
seen
see
you for a
you.
while. Of course, I haven't seen anybody for a while. You know. What's nice is you're all new to me, even if I've known you for 30 years, you know. It's the kind of the wonder of being wonder. So thank you, Roseanne. Let's see, we're kind of at for tonight anyway. We're at a place to turn the attention simply to the heart, no more thinking, no more, even the 5 remembrances, it's true, all things are impermanent. Everything we know changes. Death is inevitable. Separation is natural. But we also can bring that attention to our hearts and realize that ultimately we are just, when there is no tension, there's care. And where there's care, there's loving kindness. And where there's loving kindness, there's self-acceptance and acceptance of all things. And again, I go to the trees, the rocks, the flowers, the inevitable truth of seasons and change. So just take a moment just to bring your attention to your heart. May whatever covers my heart be dissolved. May whatever covers my heart be dissolved. May beings everywhere be at peace. And may beings everywhere extend this heart of compassion to each and every situation, being, rock, tree. I was going to say scissors, but no. Whatever arises is part of the phenomena of care. And may we as a Sangha be the instrument of care. And as again, I want to go back to the Jesuit Pope Francis and his love of beings. And again, if there's any merit or power that we have created through our coming together like this, we ultimately share it with beings everywhere, that they may benefit from our time here. And whether it's just a simple smile or an act of kindness or a letting go of some contraction or judgment, so that we can all live in peace. So I like that comment, the old Matakwasi in the native Lakota language, that all beings, seen, unseen. That's always a good one, because there's a lot going on here we don't see, but we have to honor them all. So thank you for your attention, and we'll see you tomorrow night, hopefully.